Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and this is the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, the music podcast on where I interview singers and musicians from genres of black music: gospel, jazz, blues, old school classic soul, old school hip hop, today's hip hop and R&B, Caribbean, Latin, Afrobeat, Afro-Latina, blue-eyed soul, disco, go-go, line dances, and the Lost 45s. So come with me as I take you on to a trip to the destination genre of black music right now on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Legal Shield is a proud sponsor of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Have you been involved in any types of accidents? Have you been a victim of identity theft? Have you been a victim of a computer fraud scam? Have you been in disputes with your tenants or landlords? If your loved one dies and they didn't write up a will for you or for your family, or you and your spouse are filing for divorce, or if you need help by opening up your small business, give Legal Shield a try. Visit their website at LegalShield.com and tell them you heard it here on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Do it today. You'll be glad you did. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., creator and host of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Now, before I bring up my special guest, I have good news to share with you. I have a new website, and you can look for it at the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's right, folks. I have a new website called the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. If you have a computer, laptop, notebook, or if you have a desktop computer and it has either MSN or AOL, make sure you type in the name of my podcast website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. And if you have Google on your smartphone, make sure you type in the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's where you find all of my news blogs, or whatever you want to call it. That's where I tell you what's going to be on the next episode for the entire month. So please check out my website and please pass it on. Make sure you check out my website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. In the meantime, enjoy today's episode and thank you for your support. Welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and I have a special guest on my show. And this gentleman that I'm about to introduce is a vocalist and saxophonist. So please help me welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Stephen B. Hi, Stephen. How are you?
Thank you, Sam. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and you? Welcome to my podcast. And before we start the interview, I want to give a special shout out to my cousin Gerald Warwick and all of the Warwick family relatives who had recommended me to interview you on my show. So it's a pleasure to have you here, and I want to make sure that I tell them about my podcast, so if they know anybody, they can have them come on here to my show. But you know the old saying, keeping your promises and stuff.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for reaching out.
Oh, you're welcome. So, as always, America doesn't know who you are. The world doesn't know who you are. So I'm very delighted to have you here on my show. So let us begin, shall we? Now, let's get to know you a bit. Can you tell us a little bit about your origin story? Where were you born, and what type of environment that you grew up in?
Okay, I'm from Philadelphia. I'm a Philly boy, West Philadelphia. Grew up and raised there. My environment was a loving environment, two-parent household, churchgoers. I guess just a normal raising, middle class raising. I have two sisters and a younger brother. My two sisters are older. I'm kind of in the middle, and I was the bad one. But I had a beautiful upbringing. Yeah.
Okay. Now, which high school did you go to?
Well, I went to a high school called Lamberton, Robert E. Lamberton in West Philly. Long story short, it actually, the high school, I was in their second class because it actually had just got established a year prior to me going into high school. And the background, I'll just give you a slight background. When I got out of junior high school, my mother didn't allow me to go to the high school that was kind of closer to our home because there were a lot of gang wars going on around that time. Let's talk about in the 70s. And so I kind of went to a newer school, and it really kind of just took like taking a fish out of the water because I thought I was going to the other high school. But Robert E. Lamberton, so I came out of their second class, graduation class, in '77.
And which college did you go to, and what was your major in college?
Well, I actually, after I graduated high school, I did not go straight to college. I waited for a year and worked. And eventually I went to Delaware State College down in Dover, Delaware. And my major at the time was music. And I wound up changing my major maybe in my third year to English literature. Yeah.
Now, when you were young, who did you want to be when you grow up?
That's a good question, Sam. I didn't have an idol or anything like that. And to tell you the honest goodness truth, I was a kid that I didn't have dreams. Um, and I know that sounds crazy, but let me explain. But I lived my dream. I was living my dream. Every time I put the horn in my mouth or I sang that was it for me. So it was kind of I never really had to go out of myself to picture myself doing something. My father was definitely an influence. He was a real short cat, but he was a giant to me in terms of showing me manhood and about responsibility and things like that.
And how old were you when you started playing the sax?
I believe about 12 or 13. I actually played the clarinet maybe about 6 or 7 years old because my father was a musician also. Let me put this in there. He actually was semi-professional saxophonist and clarinetist who actually played in some bands with John Coltrane back in Philadelphia when they had the big bands. Um, and as the family grew, he had to put the horn down kind of and get a stable job, which we're going to come back and we're going to put a pin in that because that kind of was an influence on me to me in terms of how I kind of had to deal with music also. But yeah, I started playing clarinet about 6 or 7, and then I switched over to alto sax about 12 or 13.
Now, since you are a saxophonist, was being a jazz musician your calling?
I would say no, and I say that because jazz would be just like one box. I just think that music's bigger than that, and for me, so I kind of delve in all types of music. Um, and here again, go back. It's not like I wanted to set out to be a musician because I already was a musician. So to me, it was I guess I just didn't put all the steps into it because it felt real enough to me to be what and who I was at the time. So there was no really heavy transition.
Now, growing up, who were some of your favorite jazz musicians?
Oh man, Ooh, that's a hard one. Definitely John Coltrane. Love Coltrane. I love Stanley Turrentine. Definitely Grover Washington, coming from Philadelphia, and Ronnie Laws, David Sanborn. I loved Al Jarreau. There's just so many. I can go on and on. Herbie Hancock, Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis, you know. And I think I brought my first jazz album when I was 8. And one of my older sisters was always into jazz, so that kind of opened the door to my ears, and I just loved all kind of jazz, from avant-garde, free jazz, standard jazz, and this was kind of before the smooth jazz thing really kind of kicked off. So
And who were your musical influences that had inspired you? You mentioned Stanley Turrentine and Al Jarreau. Who were some of your others that had influenced you to play the instrument?
believe it or not, a lot of lesser known people um, from around the Philadelphia area that I looked up to um, kind of influenced me in the way of approaching the music. Um, I grew up in a church, and I didn't play the saxophone in church. I sang, and a lot of vocalists influenced me also. But if we go back to folks that the public would know, definitely Grover Washington, I would say, because being from Philadelphia, I was around him a lot in terms of the music, and I lived around the corner from his mother's home, and another separation. Um, One of the guys I used to have a band with wound up being his MD for the last for Grover's last 15, 17, 18 years. We were very close friends. And then um, one of my uncles was Grover's running buddies, was one of his right hand running buddies. So yeah, Grover just yeah, that's my man.
Mhm. Now, how would you describe your sound? I got a chance to check out some of your clips and everything. How would you describe your sound?
Not like no one else's. And I say that to say that as a musician, you're always trying to find your voice. And that's the aim of being a musician, to find your voice and be able to express it once you find it. And that can be an amalgamation of a lot of different of your life experiences, um, the way you speak, the way you see things. So there's a lot of things that go into that. My sound, I would say, it's not like a smooth jazz sound per se. It's edgy, it's sweet, it's soft, it's soulful. It's a lot of things. Sometimes it's complicated.
Right. Now, you mentioned that you didn't play any musical instrument in the church, but you did sing in the church choir. And what church did you belong to?
Church in West Philadelphia, Vine Memorial Baptist Church. The church was established in 1918, I think. I'm not sure, but it's a long-standing church in West Philadelphia. Still there, still operating. In fact, my father wound up being one of the associate pastors at the church. So I was saying we are gonna put a pin in it, and we'll come back full circle. But my father became a minister.
Mhm. Okay. Now, as I said earlier, I got a chance to check out some of your music videos or music clips on YouTube, including the ones that I Suppose So and John Coltrane's version of My Favorite Things. That's the Christmas tune. And also Blues Alley and your version of Rolls Royce's Wishing on a Star and Heat Waves Always and Forever. Please share with our audience on your cover version of those tunes.
Um, Well, I'll start from the end. Always and Forever. It wasn't my rendition. That clip was me soloing with the group Heatwave. I wound up playing on Wilder's. I think it was his last gig before he passed, and I played with them on that gig. Um, and that clip was of me soloing. Wishing on a Star, I always loved that song. And I always heard it as an instrumental as well as a vocal tune. And of course, my favorite things always been in my toolbox per se. And I suppose was an original tune I wrote. Uh, I've done a video, uh, a live video version of that, and I think that's possibly the clip you were talking about.
Now, you were the lead saxophonist and the founder of Stephen B. and Friends. What year was it founded, and how many years was your group was in existence?
Um, that came about kind of out of fruition. I was when I moved here and I live in DC, in Maryland, just outside of Washington. But I moved down in this area in I think it was 86, 87. And believe it or not, at the time I actually was not playing saxophone. I'd stopped playing the saxophone for about 8 years, and I got back into it in '92 and started playing with a lot of the folks in the area here. And excuse me, I didn't want to kind of like head a group or have a group, but I wound up playing with a lot of the same musicians, and it just became Stephen B and Friends. And I guess that was about 95, 96. And so I go underneath that moniker because sometimes the personnel may change depending on if a person can't play a gig or something like that. So it was just easier to market as Stephen B and Friends.
Now, you and your group performed on the BET soundstage back in 1999. What was it like performing on BET?
It was interesting. It was a beautiful venue. It was here in Maryland. Well, actually, Mr. Johnson had the stage here in Maryland, and he had one in DC, and I actually did both of them. It was an honor. Really was an honor. The soundstage was like a restaurant, so there were a lot of people in the audience, and a nice stage. The audio was nice. The videos, they did free videos for you. Um, and that was kind of unheard of back then. And they did a really nice quality video, uh, and they treated the band well. They knew how to treat musicians.
Mhm. Now, have you performed in cities including Philly and the DMV area? In other words, we say in black terms, DC, which is Washington, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So I had to explain that to our audience. When they say DMV, they think of Department of Motor Vehicles. But we say the DMV, which is DC, Maryland, and Virginia, where I-495 Capital Beltway surrounds the
Yeah,
area.
you got it. You got it.
So, as I was saying, now you have performed in cities in Philly, PA, and the DMV area. Now, which cities or towns have you gotten a standing ovation while performing at those areas?
Um, Blues Alley here in DC. The City Winery in Philadelphia. And I also have played with a couple national acts, given, say, like Jean Carn. I played with her for over 13, 15 years. So a lot of the outside venues I've played at with her, we got standing ovations at. I've done a couple of jazz cruises, and I've done those with a duo, just myself and the guitars, and we got some standing ovations.
Mm, okay. Now, you performed at private parties and gala events for Congressman John Conyers, Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., and also you performed at the Smithsonian's in DC and the National Council of Negro Women. In case you may not know, that's the organization that was founded by my late cousin, Mary
Oh,
McLeod Bethune, representing the Wilson Dix family. That's right. So I had a chance to go see the new headquarters on Constitution Avenue in
okay.
DC. Now, as I was saying, what was it like getting a lot of exposure performing at those events?
Here again, just an honor. Um, I guess you don't think about those things when you're young, and to be around such people of high standards and um, fortitude, power, and stuff like that, and playing for them. Oh, it's an honor. It's just an honor. Um, when I played at the museum for the African Negro women, I believe, if I recall, that was Dorothy Height was still around, and she was in the audience at the time, and it was like a private party. Um, that was really nice meeting her. Beautiful person.
Yes. Now, are you going to be working on a new album or EP really soon?
I have some music already kind of near stages of finishing, so I'm hopefully going to dust off, get the dust off of those, and finish them up in terms of final mixings and stuff, and get that out this summer. Yes, yes, and yes.
Now, here's a question that I always ask my guests: living or dead, which jazz artist you wish you wanted to meet or to perform with?
Wow. Mm. Miles Davis. And I say that because for some reason I like Miles, the man, even before liking Miles, the musician. Because as a musician, you are, or should I say, whatever you play and how you play and whatever comes out of your instrument is who you are. And so I always try to see the person before hearing them or seeing them. And Miles would be, because he's such an interesting person and misunderstood. Um, like one anecdote story. A lot of people didn't like him because he would have his back turned to the audience when he's playing. So a lot of people felt that he was ignoring the audience. But the truth is that Miles was playing with his musicians, and a lot of times he couldn't hear them, so he would walk up to them and be playing, kind of beside them and stuff. And it wasn't like he was trying to ignore the audience. I don't know. Maybe he could have done it a different way. I don't know. But I think there are a lot of miscues about Miles. But he always intrigued me, the man. And then we don't even have to get into his playing. Oh my goodness, and the different transitions of his career. Everybody who's anybody in jazz went through one of Miles Davis's bands. Anybody, dead or alive, they went through one of Miles Davis' bands. So his influence is so long and so heavy.
Wow. Now, here on the Black Soul Music Experience podcast, I always ask my guests who are the top 10 R&B black artists of all time. But since this is a jazz episode in honor of Jazz Appreciation Month, and since I have you, Stephen, we're going to be doing the Black Soul Music Experience top 10 jazz artists of all time. Now, here's how it works: we do it like a top 10 countdown, like the show America's Top 10, hosted by the late Casey Kasem. And then we start at the bottom five. We found out who was the best artist but didn't get any recognition. In other words, they were on a major record label, but their record label didn't do much marketing or promotion like they supposed to.
Right.
When we get to the top five, we're going to find out who is the best million selling artist of all time. Did that jazz artist receive some top 10 hits, whether it was on the jazz albums charts or they crossed over to R&B and pop? Did that artist receive the album which went gold or platinum or double platinum or triple platinum or today's diamond platinum? Did that artist receive a Grammy or an American Music
Mhm.
Award or a Soul Train Award or an MTV VMA Award or a BET Award? Did that artist got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Did that artist perform on American Bandstand or Soul Train or the Midnight Special or NBC Saturday Night Live or Solid Gold or the show
You going back?
Soul that used to be aired on PBS back in the early 70s? Did they had their own prime time special, whether it's on CBS or NBC or ABC, or did they had their special on PBS, whether they were on Great Performances or they had their own special during Pledge Month? Or did they had that live concert special on HBO or Showtime? So, Stephen, are you ready to take the challenge?
All right, come on.
All right. Who should be at number 10? We're starting at the bottom five. Who should be at number 10?
Okay, and this would be someone who didn't get all of the recognition.
Right.
Because I was thinking in the opposite direction. But okay, someone who didn't get all the recognition they should have gotten. Um, I would say David Fathead Newman, possibly. It's a saxophonist.
Ah, David
Frank,
Fathead Newman. Yes. I heard of the artist before. I think I have a couple of his songs downloaded on
you
YouTube.
probably
And
you probably do, but
yeah,
they didn't run it as much as they could have. Well, as long as they could have. I put it that way.
right. Because he'll be best remembered for being guest on other albums with other jazz artists on their labels.
Yeah.
That was way before we heard of collaborations.
Yep.
So we heard of David Fathead Newman. He's best known for touring with Ray Charles and so many other artists. But as I
Hmm.
said, either they were collaborating on someone else's albums. But most of the time back then, when you don't see the credits on the back of the album cover, you may probably see who was on that track. You mentioned David Fathead Newman. I mentioned he had performed with Ray Charles. So there was some that he didn't get that much recognition. So we'll put David Fathead Newman at number 10. Who should be at number 9?
um, Frank Morgan.
Ah, yes, Frank Morgan. I remember the name. He's best known for his instrumental version of The Sidewinder or The Side Wanderer. So that was the one that I know
Okay.
um, that he played on his album. So he didn't get that much recognition, but unfortunately, we've lost him during back in
I was
the
friends with. I became a friend of
'60s.
his. I wanted to be,
Oh, okay.
and one of the reasons he didn't get the recognition that I think he deserved was, he made some bad choices in life, and so he was incarcerated a great deal of a time of his life. And when he finally got out, which was about the early '80s, he got back into the music. Got into the music circuit again with the help of, I believe Wynton Marsalis helped him out
Mm.
to get him back up, back up to par in terms of the audience. But I don't think he ever gained the recognition he should have gotten. Um, he should be his name should come off of any jazz person's lips.
Mm.
Um,
Okay, so we'll put Frank Morgan at number 9. Who should be at number 8?
Uh, there's some cats in Philly that are fantastic musicians, and they're kind of only known by other musicians as opposed to the general public per se, the big general public. And one of those gentlemen that I'm thinking of is Odine Pope, saxophonist. Um,
Oh, Odine Pope, saxophonist. Okay, I've never heard of him, but we'll put him at
check
number
him out.
8.
Check him out.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, who should be at number 7?
Number 7. Let's give this one to. I was gonna say a vocalist, but no, he got his recognition. Um, yeah, you got me, Sam. um, I don't know.
Okay, I'll help you out and I'll fill
Please.
you in. Number 7. Well, I'm gonna put down Angela Bofill because she
Okay.
started out in jazz and she's
Yep, jazz and
originally
Brazilian
from,
salsa music.
yes, she represents the West Bronx and Brooklyn, New York, and she's Afro-Cuban. That I didn't know. She
Yep.
came
Yep.
on the scene by the mid late 70s. She had a couple of some smooth jazz albums. She was on the GRP Arista label back then. She'll be best remembered for doing some Afro Cuban jazz. And one of the songs that I didn't know that she written was called I Try. Now, at first, I thought Will Downing did the song, but when I looked at Billboard's contemporary jazz singles and I looked at the songs as I Try and I see Angelo Bofill wrote that song, that I didn't know.
And she
So
was a
when I went
teenager,
to
I think.
so when I went to the record store and bought the greatest hits package, and from Angelo Bofill, I played that song. It was like 5 minutes and 52 seconds of that. So I've listened to both versions. I've listened to the original one from Angelo Bofill and the one from Will Downing, 5 minutes and 15 seconds. So she'll be best known for that. She started out in jazz and then started crossing over to R&B, and she's best known for doing it her way. So we'll put the late Angela Bofill at number 7. Who should be at number 6?
Mm. Um, that's a. I was thinking about a drummer. Um,
Are we thinking of Max Roach?
no, because most folks know Max, but I was thinking about since we're still under the 5, Harvey Mason.
Oh, Harvey Mason. Never heard of him.
You've
So
heard of him. He's a
I'll
drummer.
try to see if they have
He's a
some
dr-
of the videos or audio stuff on YouTube. But since you brought that up, I'll put him down at number 6, Harvey Mason. All right, we're up to the top 5. Who should be at number 5?
I'm gonna go with the vocalist. Well, I'm considering your top 5 now people that they're known. All
Hmm.
right. Okay. Um, and they're just spectacular in their field and what they do. Al Jarreau.
Ah, yes, the one and only Al Jarreau. He's best known for his best known for his scatting and everything. I didn't know he had that talent. And
Yes,
the
sir.
first time I saw Al Jarreau, he was performing on NBC Saturday Night Live. Well, this was Valentine's Day, 1976. And I
Hmm.
didn't see the whole episode. He was just performing on NBC's SNL. And he had some hits back in 1981. His breakout hit, We're in This Love Together. And I was listening to a couple of his tunes. Let me tell you, when he started singing on the smooth jazz and pop and R&B and everything, so he's the kind of guy who does everything around. And he'll be best known for some other tunes, including Killer Love. And he also participated in USA for Africa's We Are the World. But he'll be best remembered for teaming up with Quincy Jones on a couple of
Yeah.
Quincy's albums
He
and
has
everything.
so much music. Like how a lot of artists have B sides. He has B, C, and D's.
Mm.
you know, so much music,
Oh,
and
yes.
and and he can do a song 1,000 different ways. You know.
Yes, yes, indeed. So rest in peace to Grammy Award winner Mr. Al Jarreau. We'll put him at number 5. Who should be at number 4?
I would put hmm, well, whoo. So I got the heavyweights. I'm gonna put Coltrane there.
Alrighty, John Coltrane. He's known for his real jazz. We mentioned his version of My Favorite Things. And yes, he's best known for duets with Duke Ellington in a sentimental mood. That's the one that I like. And the
Okay.
first time I heard that instrumental version was on The Cosby Show. I believe it was season 1, the almost ending
Hmm.
of the episode when Bill Cosby's character, Clip Huxtable, will play that sentimental mood. You hear the piano intro and everything. So I love that. Love that. Love that. I downloaded that song. And also, he'll be best remembered for another one called A Love Supreme.
Yes,
I
sir.
first heard that song when I saw the movie called Mo Better Blues back in 1990 that starred Denzel Washington and Spike Lee. So I got a chance to listen to that song as well. So he's best known for his long 15-minute, 9-minute jazz tunes ever. So rest in peace to the late John Coltrane, and we'll put him at number 4.
Just a
Who
little
should be at number 3?
Let me give you a tidbit on Coltrane. Most
Okay.
folks would think because you heard of Giant Steps, so that's like the seminal jazz tune that folks, as a jazz musician, you're supposed to know that tune.
Hmm.
But most folks would say that was his best selling, but it wasn't. It was Love Supreme. Love Supreme was his best seller in terms of dollars.
Mm. Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Mhm.
Okay. As I said, we're up to number 3.
Okay, number three, I got to give this to Miles.
All right, the one and only Miles Davis. He's one and only jazz musicians of all time, and he kept up with the times, whether it's bebop or classical.
Yep.
And we got into the end of the 60s, into the 70s with fusion. And then he got into the 80s. He's known for his remakes of Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time and Michael Jackson's Human Nature. So he'd be best known for that. So he kept up with the times, whether it's hard jazz or bebop or
He would
smooth
never
jazz,
never stand still.
classical, everything. That's right. He won't stand still. So
Mm-mm.
he'll be best known for that. And in case you may not know, he is the first jazz artist to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
So we did it all. So rest in peace to the one and only Miles Davis at number 3. Who should be at number 2?
I'm going to say Charlie Parker,
The Bird, Charlie Parker.
the
He's
one and only.
best known for everything, Star Eyes and many other tunes as well.
first
So
artist,
I
first
didn't know
artist to
everything
do.
about,
No, I
right.
was going to say first artist to do a album just with strings. The jazz artist,
Oh, okay.
and
Now, yeah, because me growing up, I didn't know who was Charlie Parker until the movie came out in 1988 called Bird. Forrest Whitaker played the
hmm
role of Charlie Parker, but I didn't know who was the real Charlie Parker was all about. And then one time PBS had American Masters, and they did an episode on Charlie Parker. So when I once worked at WVOX in New Rochelle, and the format was big band and jazz. I went to J&R Music World and picked up the Jazz Masters compilations. I said, Charlie Parker, we'll play one of his tunes, Star Eyes, fit for the radio station. So he'll be best known for that. And
he,
yes,
he
sadly, we've lost him.
he was the innovator of the saxophone. He took the saxophone. He was the next part of the legacy after Ben Webster, and took the saxophone and just went another way. Him, Dizzy Gillespie, and Miles were the innovators of bebop. So that just took the music to a whole nother direction. You know,
Okay, so rest in peace to the bird, the late Charlie Parker at number 2. All right, who should be at number 1?
Louis Armstrong.
Satchmo, Louis Armstrong, the pioneer of jazz.
Yes, sir.
So he kept up with the times, whether it's playing his trumpet or singing. He is best known for his tunes, including Hello, Dolly, and We All Had the Time in the World. That's from the 007 movie
Definitely.
on
hmm
Her Majesty's Secret Service. And What a Wonderful World. Now, I've heard that song. It was from that movie, Good Morning Vietnam, starring the late Robin Williams. So I got a chance to play that song on my YouTube. I don't know if I downloaded it, but he'll be best known for those 3 tunes that crossed over on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts, as well as the easy listening singles charts and the jazz singles charts. And he made his motion picture debut in that movie, Hello Dolly, which starred Barbara Streisand and the late Walter Matthau. So he'll
hmm
be best known for that. So rest in peace to Satchmo,
He was an innovator.
Pops,
Pops was
Louis
an innovator.
Armstrong
Yep.
at number 1. So there we have it, our top 10 jazz artists of all time. Now, before we wrap things up, as I said, I looked at your profile, I looked at your bio, I've seen all of your music clips and everything. Now that you've been a saxophonist all your life, what would you like to be remembered as?
A very, let's just say, a kind person, loving person. Um, I'm a very emotional person, meaning I'm not afraid to show my emotions. And now I would say those are the things that I try to put into the music, because what I'm trying to do when I put the horn in my hand or I sing, I want you as a listener to have some type of emotion. I want you to feel something. So I try to put what I feel into the horn. So that's why I say, I'm a very emotional person when it comes to music, and I'm very spiritual about it. I believe that we get it from above, and then we send it out, get our blessings back in, and it goes back up. So I always call it the perpendicular, and we right here in the middle as a musician. Um, so I want to be a transponder of good feelings. That's my ministry.
That's a good way to close it out. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for being here on the Black Soul Music Experience podcast in honor of Jazz Appreciation Month. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And again, special shout out to my cousin Joe Warwick and all of the Warwick family relatives for recommending me to interview you on my show. And I'll give them a shout out and let them know that I've interviewed you. So again, thank you so much. Continued success
Thank
on
you.
everything that you do.
Thank you
Now,
for
yes. Now, before we go, where can we follow you on social media and give us a quick plug on any events that's coming up soon or during the
okay.
summer?
I'm on all the social media networks, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. My website, which is usually the best and direct, is www.stevenb.net. Um, I have some other websites, but that's the main one. Got some performances coming up. A lot of the summer festivals and clubs are now calling, and so I'm putting in dates now. I'll be in Philadelphia, the Winery, in June, and Blues Alley here, the jazz club in Washington. And then I have a lot of other private. I do a lot of private gigs too, So, but all information you can get is on the website. That's www.stevenb.net.
Oh, yes. Download all of the jazz artists that we have talked about on this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Visit iTunes.com, Spotify.com, or purchase a CD at Amazon.com. Make sure you follow Stephen B. Go to his website at stephenb.net. Look for him on Facebook, on Instagram, and be sure to check out some of his music videos on YouTube. Go to the YouTube channel, whether it says Stephen Bunknick, that's Bundick. You can check out some of his music videos. And by the way, I've just subscribed to your channel.
Appreciate you.
Yes, yes. I
I'm gonna
just
send you
wanted to.
some. When you get
Yes.
offline, give me your address because I want to send you. I'll send you something.
Okay. Now, and also, as he said, you'll be at different concert events. You'll be on Wednesday, June 17th at Blues Alley. It's located on Wisconsin Avenue Northwest in Washington, D.C. And that's for one night only for two shows, 7 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. So if you're in the D.C. area, come and check out Stephen B. And for more information, you can call 202-337-4141 or visit bluesalley.com. And on Saturday, June 20th, that's the day after Juneteenth, he'll be in Philadelphia at The Lot at City Winery in Philadelphia. For ticket information, visit tickets.citywinery.com/event/Stephen B. I should say Stephen dash B dash DQK. I'll
Got
be getting
along.
to the events on where you're going to be appearing at. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check out this episode, please subscribe to the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Look for me on these 5 platforms. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pocket Cast. And the link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s. Don't forget to add the S at the end, -studio. And I will be posting this episode on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you have a hard time getting on to riverside.fm, then please become a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast and the number 6. If you have a computer, use your email address and your password, go into the Patreon homepage and make sure you go to the search box and type in the Black Soul Music Experience podcast and the number 6. Check out all of my audio and video podcast episodes from season 4 and of this year of season 5, and check out all the video podcast clips that you may have missed. And if you have a hard time getting on the Patreon, then I will be posting this episode on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. All you need to do is go to the YouTube homepage, go to the search box, and type in the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. If you like this episode, if you love my podcast, please subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button down on the screen. As I always say, please subscribe, please support, please give me a thumbs up, please leave a comment, and please pass it on. Thank you for joining me as I close out this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience. Well, that's about it for this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. I'm Sam Wilson Jr. Thank you for joining me, and please tune in next week for an all-new episode. The Black Soul Music Experience Podcast is sponsored by the support of listeners and viewers like you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Look for my podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pocket Cast. And don't forget the link. The link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s-studio. And don't forget to check out my audio and video podcast episodes by becoming a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. And please check out my video podcast episodes by subscribing to youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. And please leave your comments, feedbacks, and replies by going to my Facebook homepage. Go to facebook.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. You can also tweet me on X, aka Twitter, at Sam Wilson Jr. 66, and follow me on Instagram at SAMM.Y2980. As always, partying, remember this: reach for the top and your dreams will come true, and it can happen to you. From all of us, take care, God bless, thanks for listening, have a good week, and please be safe.